Thank you so much. So let me get situated here. I'm not at my normal setup because I'm trying to, I was trying to get the room. So let me just share my screen. I think we are ready to get started. Thank you so much. Um, so this talk is a little bit different. It's my very personal journey. Okay. I worked with some of the folks on this call, including Greg, in my previous career, and I knew that career was something that people weren't appreciating anymore. But that was kind of just the latest, version of what I was doing myself. So again, this is going to be a personal story on how I embraced AI and reinvented myself once again. But I'd love to know. So if you wouldn't mind whipping out your phones, scanning the QR code, just let me know how you're feeling about AI in general, if you would be so gracious. Cool. No panic yet. Mhm. Alrighty. Cool. I look, okay, 40%, 42% are hopeful. That's good. No one's panicking. The panic slide used to be, the panic one used to be a lot higher. So this talk is for you if you are experiencing career uncertainty, unsure what's next, you want to remain relevant. That's always been on the forefront of my mind because I was, pretty much always spending for myself. And I was always striving to remain on the forefront of my career and see what was coming next. And I thought I had it figured out. But in 2023, I was laid off twice. Once the company was sold and delisted from the stock market, and about 40% of staff were let go. And the other time, it was a consulting firm, and 2023 was a hard year for consulting firms. So I was laid off again. But that was just the latest thing to happen to me because I have been laid off before. But this is actually me in a photo in the Soviet Union. And I graduated December 25th, 1991. Well, right before December 25th, 1991. But on December 25th, 1991, does anyone know what happened? The Soviet Union fell. And I had graduated with a degree in Russian language and linguistics. I was hoping to be a diplomat and build bridges between the Soviets and Americans, and I had staked my career on that. And I saw the Soviet hammer and sickle flag lowered for the last time over the Kremlin, and I realized that that meant a flood of Russian-speaking people to the United States. And just like that, Cold War was over, my career was over. And so even before I got my official diploma, I had to rethink my career. And so this is just the first thing that happened to me. My work life has never been stable, set it and forget it. So I had to live through the computers coming to the workplace, the dot-com crash, because I was in tech, the recession, multiple company failures and closings, of course, COVID, and then, of course, now the AI era. Interesting to know, I was working remotely since about 1990. I say 1999, but really I had worked intermittently before 1999, so I was certainly an early adopter. And I used to speak at conferences on better remote work. Um, I never had anyone to fall back on if I lost my job. So I was always, like I said, thinking of what's the future going to be like. I would always had my ear to the ground, and people were always wondering. My family was like, "How do you always know when the company's tanking?" I said, I sense it. Like there's the signs here." So right after the Russian career was over, I became a technical writer before it was a career when software was coming on the scene and you had to write manuals basically for all these complex things that I was doing, hardware and software. And then I saw that fewer people wanted technical writers because software was becoming more intuitive. So I reinvented myself as a business analyst. I got a job at NASA, and then I helped bring the first Scrum teams to NASA there. And then I decided to help companies adopt Agile. So that was a great career. I really loved that. But I knew it was coming to an end for years, and I was seeking to reinvent myself again. So long story short, this time was different because when I was laid off for the second time, I didn't really know what I wanted. Nobody wanted a director of agility anymore. My knowledge of AI was still nascent. I had been using AI a lot for the past 8 months, and learning what large language models could do and couldn't do. Always experimenting, always experimenting. So I was like, what the heck am I going to do now? Um, Nobody was hiring someone with such nascent generative AI experience. Wasn't even on my mind. I was like, should I be a chief of staff? Should I be a program manager? What should I do? So I decided to take a data science program. At the time, I thought that after that program, I would have the skills to lead a data science team or an AI initiative at work. Not that I wanted to become a data scientist. Um, it was the hardest thing I have ever done in 30 years since theory of calculus. But I've had a lot of people ask me if they should take a similar program. And so I would just, right off the bat say, I would say no, not unless your goals are to lead an AI team and you really need that level of knowledge because it was really tough. Most of the things that people are looking for today is generative AI use. So anyway, so even then, when I finished that, I had zero experience. No one was hiring for a role that I could figure out where I fit in. I didn't really want to be, go deeper in the data science. I didn't want to code. Python is still, it was okay, but it wasn't my thing. So I said, you know what? Let me just see where does this generative AI thing, and I didn't know it then, but I was seeing all these things on LinkedIn, and this guy named Ruben Cohen, who I now know is like on the forefront of things. And he was saying, oh, I'm building this and I'm building voice agents and oh, I'm deploying this and oh, I'm doing that. And I was like, oh, crap, I'm so behind. I need to get going. So I started building chat bots, voice agents, and just really getting in the nitty gritty. In October, November 2023, I created AI avatars of myself, and people laughed saying they weren't good. And I said, well, if you think they're not good, just wait a year because they will be. And the voice agents, oh, it's lagging, it doesn't really sound real. And I said, well, just wait. I knew that it was just wait. Um, so when the data science program finished and I was still experimenting, I had my first clients. I took 2 weeks off to climb a mountain in Argentina, put all my tech away and just said, you know what? I have to make my own future. So in my 50s, I have to figure out how to be an entrepreneur for the first time in my life. And it was never a goal of mine. My parents were like, get a job, get a job. Um, they never said, start a business and try to get people to pay you, which is very different. So May 1st, 2024, that was tough. And I just said, I'm going to figure it out. And all the advice they give you about how to be an entrepreneur is okay, it's easy. Yeah, pick a niche, do this, do that. It's also crap. There's no shortcuts. You have to figure it out yourself. I struggled. I hired a salesperson who never sold a single thing in 8 months. I paid for programs that went nowhere, but it was all in the service of learning. And I learned that you have to try a lot of false starts before you can make progress when you're becoming an entrepreneur for the first time. So I learned how to use AI automation tools like make.com and other third-party tools that didn't require coding. And I started offering consulting and coaching for generative AI, doing some workshops. And in the middle of all that, I had to face the sudden demise of a 10-year relationship. And so I had to face it. I had no real income yet, no health insurance, nowhere to go. And so with little notice, I moved myself 1,000 kilometers north and started my life all over again. And that's another story but basically I bought a house sight unseen in a state I had just passed through in a town I'd never heard of before. And through it all, I kept helping small businesses learn to leverage AI while I rebuilt my personal life. And let me just pause here to share, like, why did I pick AI? It's not that I feel like AI is interesting. My angle has always been process improvement. And so I've made my career on very people focused process improvement. AI is only here to solve a problem, just like Agile. And I used to tell executives, I had one executive come to me one time. He's like, Heidi, I need you to help me sell Agile. And I said, I cannot sell Agile. I'm not going to do it. I can only sell the problems that it can help with. So you tell me the problem, and I'll tell you if Agile could help with that particular thing. It's the same thing. I cannot push AI. I do not sell AI. When people say, Heidi, I think I need AI. Well, tell me, what are the challenges in your business? And I had a few people like that contact me, and then one woman said, I don't use AI. Should I? I said, well, I don't know. What challenges do you have in your business? She was an executive coach. And she says, no, I can't think of any. So, well, how about any goals that you're trying to reach this year that you know might be challenging to reach? She's like, no, I love what I'm doing. Everything is great. I have enough clients. Everything is great. I said, well, I cannot sell you AI then. So similarly, right? I saw opportunities to solve real business problems that we were never able to solve before with AI. And because I love to help people do better work. Like it was all in service of doing better work. And I never wanted a company to use my knowledge to lay people off. And so I just said, I'm not going back to big tech. I am not doing that because they're going to use my knowledge. So I said, well, I guess I have to serve entrepreneurs. Well, little did I know, uh, someone that I had worked with in the past was hiring an AI adoption lead. And I read the job description and it had to do with change leadership and AI adoption, people first. And I just said, oh, wow, that's me. Like, and he thought that I was the unicorn that he was looking for. And so 2 years to the day that I had been laid off from my last job, I started this latest job leading an AI adoption for an insurance company with 400 people. So I'm doing the global level AI adoption. So last year I was building custom chatbots and automations and then consulting with AI. And today I'm leading enterprise-wide AI adoption in insurance. And I say the reason is because being an entrepreneur taught me some really great skills. I learned how to do the thing. I had to build the automations. It wasn't my favorite thing. Later on, I got help with building automations. I was building voice agents. I was building chatbots, but I was reading the books and I did the training and I put in the work. Um, and so I guess that's the thing, right? So I will say, what's to come and maybe how can you learn from my story? But before I go on, I'm just going to pause and say, anyone here have any questions up until now? They want to ask me questions or content. Any question is welcome. No? So,
There was one question in the chat about just asking about what program you did. What program did you take? Is it
uh-huh.
a master's degree or a certification, that sort of thing?
It was a 16-week program at MIT. So it was, yeah, it was a certificate program. It was not a master's degree. Thanks. And for some reason, yeah, I can't see the chat. So thanks. Yeah, please help me out with the chat. Yeah. Any other
Yes.
questions? Oh, all right. Well, maybe that was all expected. All right. Nothing surprising about my story. Maybe you all have lived that too in your careers. So I just want to share that, you know, the, the landscape is shifting fast. All these numbers, right? A 74% cutting staff. They're cutting to invest in AI. They know that they want to hire people who know AI and they have all these AI things they want to do. Maybe they data scientists, and of course the tools are very expensive. And so those are some things. So companies are reducing, I'll say, traditional headcount to fund AI engineering. And so roles focused on coordination, they think they can be replaced. Those are like the easy things. Oh, nobody's thinking about agile anymore. AI is the focus, and that's really tough for us agilists because of course, we care a lot about people, and we know that to leverage AI, you need to be nimble and agile. So, but this is a whole workplace transformation. So AI adoption is existential. It's an existential crisis. We need to adopt AI. So when you look at all this, the cuts, the shifts, the rise of AI, and everybody's doing agentic AI, and although a lot of them are just workflows, is moving beneath us, whether we participate or not. And so I have always asked myself this question, like, what am I going to be doing in 10 years? I was always wrong, right? But what do you think you'll be doing in 10 years? and then maybe write it down if you have an idea. If it has to do with work, I will say you're probably wrong, not because you lack vision, but because the world is changing faster than we can predict. And the only mistake, that I can say is that we'll assume the future will look like the present. Oh, I'm going to rise in my career and I'm going to do this, and it's going to be like a very linear thing. So no, the majority of people in university today are going to be working in jobs that do not exist yet. Okay. So this is a photo of a taxi cab in the early 1900s in New York City. And of course, there used to be tens of thousands of people maintaining those horses, the veterinarians, the carriage repair, the horse feed, the groomers, and those were all gone within 10 years. And the people in those jobs certainly felt threatened. But we can't turn back time. The cars were coming. We can't stop it. The same with AI is here. It's very advanced now compared to what it was 2 years ago. And 40% of jobs didn't exist in 1940. Every job I ever had, I say, didn't exist 10 or 15 years before that. So you can expect that our jobs are going to be transformed very, very quickly in the next few years. And sadly or not, 40% of our skills are going to become obsolete in the next few years. And so this is only the start, right? If the future is unpredictable, you can help shape it. Because while layoffs are dominating the headlines, the part that most people miss is that there's a huge shortage of people with AI skills. The AI and automation sector has grown 50% since 2024. This is a vacuum, not a crisis. And vacuums create opportunity because you, without being very technical and with your people focus and your understanding of business, um, people who know how to guide change, build trust, and navigate complexity are going to be in demand, not for coordination, for transformation. Okay. There are like product management roles with AI embedded, AI operations, AI adoption lead, like the role that I have. If you can help people adopt AI and understand AI in this people-friendly focus, isn't the question won't be like, the question isn't what are you going to be doing in 10 years, but what are you doing today to prepare yourself for whatever's coming? Okay. You can leverage AI today and you do not have to be technical at all. I don't count myself in the, technical part at all. I worked very hard to understand what I needed to understand in order so that I could explain AI and understand what possibilities could exist with AI, with generative AI, with automations. But that's certainly not my zone of genius. The UK AI sector is huge, the largest in Europe. AI adoption could save 25% of workforce time. And yet, of course, more than half of UK workers are anxious about layoffs, just like we are in the US. A lot of people a lot of my friends who are more senior in their careers have been looking for 2 years with no joke and very little time working in there. Okay. So, I wanted to show you some statistics so that you saw what was actually going on. And if you understand the deficit that exists today in AI skilled professionals and this interests you at all, you can leverage generative AI. And the more you understand generative AI, you can help guide and train other people and encourage them to adopt AI, like you help them to adopt agile ways of working. So very few people are getting the right kind of training. From what I see, a training and watching a video is not enough. I have to sit with them and coach them individually. So I don't want you to see like this scary deficit. I want you to see a massive opportunity that's tailor-made for people with this human focus. And if you lean in and become heavy users of AI, you will understand how to help others. Then the coaching, facilitation, and change skills can help close this gap for your teams, your organizations, and the UK economy as a whole. And if you can do that, you are going to be employable yet again in a career that's on the forefront. Remember when our career, we were like the sought after professionals. So I will say, like, let agility be your superpower. It's tempting to think, I need to become a data scientist, but no, use your people focus. You have this transferable power, facilitation, change leadership, your ability to train others, experimentation. You know how to help teams try small things safely, reflect and scale what works. And those are what I'm seeing are the muscles that organizations need to adopt AI without breaking everything. Um, However, like the risk here, I see a lot of people being subjected to AI. So if you feel like it's being done to you, tools arrive on high, just use this tool. They don't feel like their, job is job quality. They don't feel autonomy, just like if we're saying, pushing agile from on high. So I will say, like, don't stay on the sidelines, embrace it, and then use it in your daily life and help the people that you work with adopt AI also. Because the people who complement and get and guide AI systems are reporting higher job satisfaction and better health outcomes. Like they're happier at work. Now we have this, I feel like I'm sort of preaching here, but it is, we can become change leaders and change participants. So that means we also need to use AI daily, right? In backlog work, in retros, crafting experiments. So we're learning alongside the teams. So agility, if it is a superpower of agilists, and AI is just a new aid, a new way for you to be agile. I'm going to pause again. Questions, comments? Um, Let me know your thoughts so far.
Um, there's some more in the chat. One of these was as you're talking about the knowledge side of things, so it may have been answered. Um, how much technical knowledge do I need to start in AI? Currently have no developer skills. Can I also learn AI? And what type of courses should I look to as a starter?
Love it. You do not need any technical skills. Um, I would say I took a course because I thought that I wanted to lead some technical team, like a data science team or something like that. But you don't actually need that. The first thing is I would say, okay, a course can help you. There's courses called AI for Everyone in Coursera, led by Andrew Ng. His last name is NG. He's a really wonderful presenter. And he's, I think, one of the people who started Coursera. And I'll talk about it again as we go through this, the course is not going to help it stick. The way that you can really learn is just to engage with the tools yourself. So we'll be doing that a little, I'll be sharing a little bit more guidance on that. So sure, take a course, AI for everyone, generative AI for everyone. Um, but really experimenting is the only thing you can do. So you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh, I have to do, oh, that's the moment you open up your favorite AI tool and go, type it in. Hey, I'm whatever you're groaning about, you type it in there. Whatever it is you're thinking about. I got like less than one, I got like the top 1%. It was like less than 1% of users just in ChatGPT, and I use like 5 different AI tools. Um, just use it. There is no, I learn new things about AI every day, and people ask me like, oh, can it do this? Can it do that? Well, I say, you know what? Let's try. I'm not sure, but I will help guide you through it. And then they come to me with their prompt challenges. So you don't need technical skills. All you need is a little bit of understanding how generative AI works. Taking a course will help because you'll understand, oh, it's like a next word prediction on steroids kind of thing. But the course will help you talk to other people. But to really, really learn, you've got to use it yourself daily as much as possible. And I know that's hard if you have a demanding job, but use it for everything. I mean, let's say 2 years ago, it used to be terrible at creating recipes. Now it's awesome. And I made this, Dijon Dijon salmon with a cream Dijon sauce, and it helped me come up with everything. And then the recipe was better than I had gotten online. And I was like, oh, this is actually better. Um, Things will surprise you. So yesterday I was trying to plan like a trip, and it offered in Gemini to check traffic cameras and check the forecast and check, and it told me all these things. I posted about it on LinkedIn, and I was like, holy cow, can I actually do this? And I checked, and it was, the forecast was accurate, and whatever it was saying on the cameras about black ice, and it was accurate. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. Different tool like Gemini has different capabilities than ChatGPT and Claude is a much better writer. I love Claude the best, but it doesn't create images. Perplexity I use if I want to find real-time sources. If I want to ask like what flight is in the air right now, or say what Amtrak train left, then I can use that, using Gemini. But you won't have stories to tell that will resonate with people unless you use it yourself. Open up any tool, you pit them against each other, type a prompt in one, a prompt in the other, and just see what happens next. You might be surprised. So
Um,
no. Yeah, go
there
ahead.
was another question, so hopefully that's answered that one. The next one was how did you convince your employer during the interview to hire you ahead of like traditional AI grads, so data science masters, AI PhDs,
I
etc.?
love it. Uh, That's not my competition. Um, they were hiring an AI adoption specialist. We're actually hiring right now for someone who knows to code using AI. But that is not me. I am, if you think of an agile transformation lead, that is me, just with AI. I am the AI transformation lead. People come to me. We're using Copilot in my current job. That's the only approved tool as far as generative AI globally, and everyone has their Copilot license. I'm doing nothing technical, so those are not my competition, and I think that should be your thing too. Like you're not competing with those people. You have your own very people focus angle. That is it, right? I help people adopt AI, or if there were, of course, I'm only saying if this resonates with you, this is a really good fit for lots of agilists because you like to teach, you like to coach, and you're really great listeners. And whether you're working with a team that's struggling to come up with a proof of concept or something like that, like generative AI fits in this, and you have their ear already. So even if you're still in your agile role, there's a lot you can do if your workplace allows AI. So yeah, that's not my competition, and I would be proud about that.
Awesome, thank you. And then just one other, there's another one come through as well. So Gordon here has said there's been talk about an AI bubble. You seem to be backing AI for the long-term future, but do you discount the bubble may burst?
I love that question. So even if all development stopped in AI today, we have many, many years of discovering how AI can be leveraged with its capabilities today, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down. When they talk about AI bubble, I think what they really mean is that people are investing in companies and putting billions and billions of dollars into the future. Like OpenAI is still not profitable, and am I putting all my eggs in the OpenAI basket and buying a bunch of stock or giving OpenAI $1 billion to do XYZ? That bubble means like those companies are way overvalued. I've had people, I have heard think people say like, oh, OpenAI won't be here a year from now because of what they're doing, this, that, and the other. I think they'll be around, but so the bubble means to me that the valuation of the companies is they're overvalued for what they are, and that may be true, maybe not, who knows? But for many years, I see. So I work in an insurance company and has a lot of legacy mindset. So they're not adopting even the simplest tools. So because I have been experimenting now since very early 2023, I mean, I can share a lot about what I have learned over the past few years. So the bubble, I think, I don't, that's the way I see the bubble. I don't think that someone like me right now in my career, I don't see that it's a bubble. What I do see is that eventually this career will become defunct, like the agile coaching role, not because it's not useful, but because people are like, oh, wait, AI should be embedded anywhere. Oh, just like agility, right? Oh, we already have agile teams. Why do you need an agile coach? Because everybody should just be agile. We don't need a guide anymore. Well, it might be bunk, but they still believe that. So I do think, yeah, everyone should be using AI as part of their role. But the reality is, right now, just like agility, people don't know how to embrace it. They don't know how to get started with the first step. This is what I was seeing with my, early agile days. Even now, some people still struggle with understanding what agile really is and isn't. So this is, let's say, if this career lasts 2, 3 years, that'd be lovely for me. So it will take a curve and down, but guess what? By then, we can train on something else, we can guide something else, or we can help those people who haven't yet adopted AI because there will be those as well.
Awesome. And last one we got here at the moment is how are AI projects different compared to your previous agile roles?
Um, Phew. So the projects that I am involved in, um, well, first of all, I'm advocating for very small proofs of concept. So I say the proofs of concept can be even smaller. One example is the ones that I'm involved in. Well, it can be a simple automation using Copilot Studio or leveraging another third-party tool where I can deliver something in a day or less, just to, to have someone test it out, or I can help them improve their prompt in a few minutes. That will deliver some tiny sliver of value. So one example is there is in my company, we have a lot of shared mailboxes and say this audit, there's something called the premium audit team, and they have a bunch of mails come into this shared inbox with different documents and attachments. And so they need to sort them according to what it is and understand, okay, it's this policy number has gotten these for this particular audit. I'm doing this and that. And so what we did is to build a very simple Copilot agent. It's the one available if you just have the regular Copilot paid license to scan the inbox and just say what it sees and say, oh, is this kind of audit? And we built that in like a couple hours. We fine-tuned it and say, you know what? If it can scan the inbox and understand what kind of attachments it has in there and the kind of emails with some sort of close to 100%, then that will save them from scanning it manually, know like, oh, I already received this document from this particular one, then they can go dig in further. So we're talking about things delivered in hours in a day or 2 days. So those are like the tiny projects that I'm involved with. Um, yeah, of course, there are large AI projects that's different to my scope right now, even though my company does have they purchased a company that is really involved in AI in the insurance space. Of course, that's very different because you have data modeling and data cleaning, and those are very different projects. But I will say, like from my perspective of not the technical perspective, you can deliver something of value in like a few hours to a day with some simple AI non-coding agents. Um, AI adoption equals faster RAD by RAD. Sorry, RAD.
Rapid application development.
Oh yes, absolutely. I'm not even talking about what people are using Claude Code, which is really crazy. I see some of the stuff that people are doing using Claude Code. I'm assuming that most of you are in organizations that are sort of like on the nascent edge. Absolutely, much, much faster. Is like not even an application, right? Just a little mini prompt that's a custom prompt that you can help anyone get started with. But yes, rapid application development, absolutely. Yeah, cool. Any other questions before we move on? Um, oh, good. More questions. Could we see AI as a tool to assist us to align to the agile values, aiding those with potentially difficult interactions, delivering working software, helping us? Um, oh, this is very interesting. Um, yes, I used it quite heavily in difficult interactions. I have used it with challenging interactions. So if you have a stakeholder or some other situation that's you're like, I don't, this person said this and I don't even know how to respond to that. Absolutely helpful. It gave me so many insights in that area. Um, or how to approach a difficult conversation with people. Assist align us to the agile values. Yeah, I would say so. I had a situation where someone came to me and they're doing a large waterfall project, and she's like, "But every time we meet, there's scope creep, and the executives keep adding." And I said, well, scope creep, like this is maybe pitting you against them. What could we call it? Unrealized needs, or something of undocumented, requirements or needs because." we're sort of rebuilding a 20-year-old application. So yes, so definitely if you put it in there and say like, how do I approach this conversation? Or this executive doesn't realize that every time they meet, or they're thinking it's like building a house, but it really is exploratory. How do I say that? Um, or say you are trying to build this and they're struggling to uh, understand on the customer need side. Um, yeah, anything. You can ask Copilot anything, and the more data it has and the more information it has on what you're trying to accomplish, the better it will be. Collaborating with customers made me think that, back at Citrix, it was really hard to understand what customer needs actually were because a lot of the people who would install the Citrix software were admins, and the admins' desires were different than the end user. So you could even uh, you may not know this, but you can actually tell AI act as. So act as a particular user of this software, and I'm building this, and give me some input on, insights on how you would approach this. So when I build a proposal for my clients, I say, act as XYZ attorney, and tell me how you feel about what I'm proposing here. And so I pit it like that against all the time. Um, Act as an irate executive when, you can have it take on roles as customers, as an executive who won't buy into your idea. So literally anything. The sky's the limit. So do you face similar or different challenges from management and employees with AI adoption as you do with Agile adoption? This is very interesting because I have the highest level of support at my current organization. And I think that some people are still within this organization, others are they're disbelievers and they don't understand how to change or how to use it. So when I meet with business owners and executives, it's I'm sure I can use it, but I don't really know. I use it to like fine tune my emails, or like I have all this employee review written and I use it to sort of tweak the writing there, but they have no idea even how to get started. So I will say some similar. I think that it is at least where I sit, people are now really aware that there's not a lot of time to adopt AI before they might sort of fall off. Unlike Agile, they felt like, yeah, we should, but there was this unlimited timeline of when they should, and now I feel like the sense of urgency is here with AI adoption. Do I see my role expanding to a team of AI adoption champions across my company? Well, yeah, they told me that they already were, if we have a backlog, that we could hire more. So it's possible. I had an intern. She got a full-time job, and so she's leaving, but this was her role. I was teaching her everything I knew. And so yeah, definitely we would add the roles that we seek. I can see the roles on my team would be people who could help build things that are a little bit more technical. So I'm leading the overall adoption, like the strategy. What are we going to do? So we're going to do a podcast. We're going to do this live training. We're going to do a Teams channel on this, and we're going to do that. So all those like strategic things that are in my purview, but I also have to help with like boots on the ground adoption. So yeah, I'd love to have more of those people. So I think it could be like agile coaching, with some people on the team would be a bit more technical and coding actual things. Right. Cool. I'm really grateful for the questions. It's really boring for me just to go through a slideshow, so I really appreciate your questions. So just so that you know, there are a lot of in-demand verticals through 2030. This is from the World Economic Forum report of 2025. So you can dig into there. There's a lot of information by country. So it's very country specific, but you'll see like there's global things. So, healthcare, education, fintech, cybersecurity, and green technologies, of course, because of climate change. And of course, you'll see like data and analytics. So a lot of these things are going to be opportunities for you. So I even tell people, okay, so I'm insurance. I happen to like the insurance space a lot, and I did work in an insurance company previously, but it may seem like a Maybe not on the forefront, but there's a lot of insurance companies that are using AI already to help with fraud detection and claims. And so just because it might be sort of a legacy industry doesn't mean that they are not leveraging AI. I talked about the need to upskill yourself, and we talk about like the future of work as a distant concept, but it is not that distant. Okay. Start upskilling yourself now. A lot of people are going to be changing jobs in new industries altogether. Like low tech industry might be the way to go. I mean, don't always think like I just think tech for me is not the place where my skills will shine now, because if they're in a technology organization, well, a lot of software developers and people have already adopted AI. So, like, I want to be in those kind of companies that are less techy. It's amazing how the point of view is very different going from a software development company where it's like, oh, you're not very technical, to now, because I know AI, it's like, oh, you're the technical genius. Well, not really. But perspective is everything. And one thing I learned over the past few years is just go where you are appreciated. Go where you are appreciated. New jobs are going to be emerging continuously, and you will find places that will appreciate your skills and your people focus. I just can't tell you what those jobs will be. I can sort of see them, I know they will be there, but we just can't plan what those are going to be. But trust me, they will be there. I don't think that, well, I think that humans have a need to contribute to the world, and we will find ways of contributing back to the world, even if we don't know exactly what those are today. So, right, I think I'm kind of queued myself up here to say you can't be in the same career your whole life anymore. The average person is going to have 12 to 15, maybe 20 different jobs. You're going to be working in careers that don't exist yet. I don't know what those are, but you're going to have to be investing in lifelong learning. To avoid career debt, you'll need to make space to learn continually, daily, be experimenting, keep an eye on the forefront, like follow people who are on the forefront of your career. What are they experimenting with? What do you see? Your greatest strength isn't going to be what you know today, but it's going to be your ability to see, adapt, reinvent, and just keep learning every single day. So yeah, I will say, so yeah, I'm curious after all this. I think it sounds like some of you are more excited about generative AI, but how often are you actually leveraging? So if you do not really use it today, rarely meaning, once a month, sometimes once a week, often maybe like once a day, or are you like me and you have like, 50 chats all day, every day? Cool. All right. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. All right. I think you were going to see skills over roles. So you today have a set of skills that you have amassed over your career, whether it's, training, facilitation, or, knowledge about Agile, or maybe even niche knowledge like finance or wherever you are. But those skills, people are going to be looked to doing assessments. So already employers are hiring and asking for skills assessments. So those are going to become a lot more popular. So you'll be needing to continually upskill yourself. There are even platforms inside companies where the employer is now looking to know like which employee has a certain skill set. So that means as an employee, you should be continuing to upskill, because there will be a move to project-based roles where, we have a project going on and it's not going to be a long-term one. And so you'll need to be part of the project, you'll need to have the skills to go onto that project, or you won't have a project to go to. So eventually, you will be sort of phased out. So I'll say just really this is my call to action, is to continue upskilling yourself. Like, I've always said like, oh my gosh, I'm just tired of reinventing myself over and over again. But this is it. Like, this is how we have to live. I pulled the data for the UK, and in the US, it's like by 2026, 59% of Americans are going to have a side gig. Well, One in five working adults already in the UK are earning their primary income through project or gig work, and organizations are going to look for talent on demand. If not now, then very, very soon, because it's easy to bring those on. Remember, in an uncertain world, you're asking for a long-term investment in an employee. And so companies are probably going to look for bringing talent on demand because they're going to be looking for that particular skill set for the moment. So this is the kind of things that people predict are going to be coming, which was always really scary for me because I loved being an employee and it was really hard to think like, where's my next money going to come from? Is like a whole different skill set, like I said. So you could look for this, and maybe it's coming faster in the U.S. than in the U.K. I'm not sure, but this is what it means, right? Long-term roles will give way to project-based gigs because the world is more uncertain, and companies aren't going to know that they're going to need the same employees 2 or 3 years from now. Your relevance today is going to matter more than your experience. The person that was in my team who was amazing, she was a recent graduate. She graduated like 10 months ago, and she was pretty new to AI, but she did awesome, and she just picked it up really quick. She was relevant, and we were sad to see her leave. So you'll need to evolve as quickly as the work. So think less about your years of experience and more about what value you can bring today with the relevance to the workforce. And if you're looking for a job, it's just really resonant. Like 3/4 of managers prefer a less experienced person with AI skills than one who's been around the block for many, many years and does not leverage AI because they know what it can do for their team to bring the efficiency. And over half of managers are requiring people to have AI skills when they're hired. That was a Microsoft and LinkedIn study. So if you haven't tried it, here's some actual research. So there's a guy named Ethan Mollick, and I encourage you to follow him on LinkedIn, just like I do a guy named Reuben Cohen, or Euven Cohen, who's in Canada. I used to tell people a year and a half ago, like, treat AI like an intern. Now I'm telling people, no, AI is a strategic partner and your advisor. One person with AI matches the performance of a two-person team without AI. Teams using AI were most likely to produce the top 10% of quality solutions. So it is not just like the boring standard stuff. AI-enabled groups working 12 to 16% faster and producing more detailed solutions. It helped professionals transcend their specializations, enabling more balanced solutions regardless of their background. And of course, less experienced employees with AI perform similarly to teams with more experienced members. Higher positive emotions if you buy into trying AI because you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I didn't know it could do that. So the organizational implications of this are that there are going to be smaller teams. People are going to be rethinking the team sizes and structures and reconsidering those traditional specialty boundaries. And expertise is going to become more democratized because anyone can access this knowledge that used to take, tens or hundreds of $1,000s and years to figure out. So this is a P&G study with 776 professionals. Yep, Reuben Cohen, you got it. And Ethan Mollick. I'll type it in here. Ethan Mollick. And Ethan Mollick has got a book out there. I felt it was pretty basic, but it's good if you are new to AI. So definitely check out his book. There's another book that if you're interested in learning the nuts and bolts of AI without being too technical, say that you are adjacent to an AI or a data science team, is called Becoming a Data Head. A data head. That is a non-technical book of how you would speak with people on an AI or data science team, and you can kind of, get a read on that. So, yeah, to make it clear, you don't need to be technical. You don't need a degree. You don't need to take a course. You just need to partner with AI and view it as your guide, your buddy. Think about a real problem when you wake up in the morning that you or your team or someone in your life is suffering. The groan moment, I say in my workplace. I'm like, if you groan, think of Heidi. Then you call me. And the woman laughed, but she called me like within 24 hours. She's like, oh, I think I have this thing. you can use your current expertise to leverage the next steps. And if you get stuck, ask AI how it can help you. You can ask AI to help you say, well, let me give us a silly example, right? Because there's really heavy snow out there, is sleeted. And so if I was struggling with how to get the really heavy snow off of my driveway, I'm going to go and type in here, I cannot scrape the snow off of my driveway. Like, give me some tips. As simple as that. It could literally be anything. Um, so yeah, just try a very, very simple thing, even if it's a silly thing. Um, and so your superpower combination could be right now your domain knowledge, whether it's AI or whether it's insurance or healthcare or any other niche, plus, AI. If you understand the nuts and bolts of it, you will be better. I will say you don't need to code, you don't need that. But if you understand how it works on a conceptual level, you can take a course, read a book. You will be better leveraged to understand why maybe you're getting the outputs you're getting, how to better prompt, why clean data is often the problem. And when people clean data, how they do it, that's becoming a data head that will, do all that stuff. So whatever your context is, start using Gen AI, and then you will have some unique assets that you could then sell back to employers and basically say, like, you will be the person that understands this, and that's going to be your unique, your unique assets. Cool. And I already talked about becoming a data head book. So I'm going to pause here because I feel like I've been talking a lot. Any other questions? I see Dominic had one. Which AI skills are in demand in 2026? I would say that depends on your goals. Like, all AI skills are in demand. If you're inside a company that is very early adoption phase, then generative AI skills are going to be highly in demand, and you could leverage those across the company and do trainings, which is basically what I'm doing. A lot of companies are not ready for agents. Agents are very risky. True agents, like, you're giving them power to make decisions and do particular things. The AI skills that are in demand in 2026 are going to be, in my opinion, automation. So there's a Microsoft platform, there's Power Automate, there's like there's make.com, and then one called N8N, N and the number 8 and then N. Those are all like Zapier. Like, those are tools that you can build automations, and then one of those pieces could have AI. So as a very simple example, when I say AI automation, I mean, let's say that you have all registered for this meetup, and I want to personally reply to each of you thanking you, and you have put some data in there. So I know your name, I know your role, and I know maybe like the stuff that you've answered in this like, how often do you leverage AI? So let's say I have those pieces of information. I can set a workflow to say, in a spreadsheet, I've got all the names of people who attended this call. I want you to generate a unique email for each of them based on their name, greet them by first name, mention their role and how often they said they leverage AI, and then send them a link to my little cheat sheet on XYZ thing, and then just create the email and put it in my drafts folder, and then I can just review it and send it. So the AI piece of that is generating a unique email, and all the rest is just an automation. I'm connecting my spreadsheet to my email, and I'm having it put in the drafts folder. The previous automations would be a static thing, like, dear blank. Then it would just literally fill in the blank. The AI makes it sound more natural. I had someone leverage this idea for nonprofits. So I don't want to go too deep in there, but I think you get the idea. One of the biggest skill sets that's going to be in demand in 2026, in my opinion, in organizations is, one, teaching generative AI, how to help others adopt generative AI. That's really beginner step. And number two, if you can build those AI automations, then it doesn't involve any code with those like call low code platforms, or like you hook up using workflows and you connect up your accounts. Then that's another skill that I see in big enterprises. The other people are really on the forefront of, say there's a lot of people doing stuff with Claude Code. I think that's less an enterprise thing and more like an entrepreneurial thing if you want to build stuff for yourself. Okay. I've seen pushback against AI written messages that feel artificial. Do you think it matters at communication stage, generally human? I don't think so, Richard. So there's a, okay, so let's say I'm having let's say I want to approach a delicate conversation with someone that I've had this negative interaction with. And so I'm writing in, how do I approach this conversation? And I'm typing with AI and I get an idea of how to approach you with that and say like, oh, I'm sorry, Richard, this and that and the other, and I'm using some ideas from AI to approach this conversation. Then I would say like, no, that's really helped me and it helped my message come across in the way that I intended in a much better way than I could have expressed it myself. And number two, if I'm receiving where that lands wrong is I'm receiving a bunch of generic emails to my inbox to try to pitch me stuff, which definitely is like, saw you commented on XYZ LinkedIn post. My company does this, and it's obviously AI generated. That's going to be a lot of pushback because that's annoying. And the third thing is like the scenario that I just shared with you of that automation. That's a real automation that I have run before. And people might know that it's there's AI assisted because that's what I do, but it's also innocuous, right? I'm giving you, I'm reading it, I'm kind of checking it to see if it makes sense. And I'm not trying to pitch you, I'm just trying to be helpful. If not for that, I would have never sent those emails. So I see there's like different levels of it, right? I think some communication people may never want to use AI. Um, and and maybe some people will say, I want to write my vows and use AI to help me word them in the way, something super, super hyper personal. So I think it really depends on the situation. And so do I have concerns about the sharing of company IP to allow AI help with day-to-day work? Okay, so in my current organization, we're only allowed to use Copilot, which is locked down and has access to our SharePoint, our Teams, and everything. So people are in tune with the Microsoft suite because of the safety and security that they believe Microsoft brings to the table. So I personally would not let anyone, if I was owning an organization, put it out on regular Chat GPT, which is why people go with secure solutions. So even Gemini has, of course, it can be HIPAA compliant and you can have like secure lockdown. The nature of cloud tools, of course, is that there's always the weakest link, and there's always when it's not like locked down, there's always the ability to be hacked. But I think with the security in place today and the faith that people are putting in big companies like Microsoft and Google, that their solutions are seen to be safe. In my day-to-day work, when you say leveraging AI, are you less focused on information and knowing things do, and instead has judgment become the major bottleneck when using AI? Yeah, for sure. The major bottleneck for me is that I can do, say I'm leading AI adoption and I could do like I could have AI come up with 20 different ideas for me as one person to do all of these things across the organization. The bottleneck is going to be which of those things can I actually do as one person? I am now the bottleneck, so yes. And also, let's say similar is what we were doing a podcast. So we have a podcast and coming up with podcast ideas. Well, it can generate, say, 25 to 30 podcast ideas that are resonant and generate the entire scripts for those things if I wanted them to. And then it comes down to, okay, even if I pick 5 of those podcast ideas, my brain cannot possibly read all of the content that AI can produce. I've actually brought this up to my manager, like, hey, is anyone else suffering this? Maybe I'm just overusing AI. So yes, the humans are going to be the bottleneck because our brains are going to get overwhelmed with the amount of information So truly, yes, I do think the way you put it is interesting. Yeah, judgment become the major bottleneck. Me reading it, me not having time to just like the overwhelm of information is real. And how do I overcome the fear and concerns of AI adoption by employees or stakeholders? Well, this is a great question. I don't care about literally like tell them, hey, whether you adopt AI, it's not about AI. I'm not here to sell you AI. I can only help you if you think you have a challenge that you're trying to resolve. Like, are you spending 20 hours a week filtering your emails that are trying to do this when you have customers that you would rather speak to? Then I can help you with some of that stuff. Or let's say there's a goal you're trying to reach. I want to grow my team by X, or I want to handle whatever X more projects. Then yeah, I have something there. Um, I feel like that helps. Fear and concerns. I only work with the willing. I'm never pushing my agenda. If you're ready for me or not, a lot of people come to me and then I do help them a little bit and then they can talk about how I've helped them. And that's good. That's good for me. That's good for them. And I always start small. Hey, let's start with a little prompt, or hey, let's type this in there and let's see, have you tried this before? And they're like, oh, I didn't know that it knew where my SharePoint files were. I can just query Copilot like Google and it will tell me where my files are, or the last action item that my boss mentioned, or what are the things that we mentioned in the last meeting that I owe, or whatever. So I'm only here to solve problems, and that I think that helps overcome some fear. I love the questions. Thank you. So this is an experiment I've run multiple times. You can ask AI to review your resume and see what new opportunities it sees for you. Of course, the more information it has about you, the better, right? So, but instead of saying fine tune my resume, you could ask it something more strategic. If you're really looking for a new job, you don't want it to fine tune your resume. You want it to see who you are as a person and see what new opportunities it sees for you. Instead of maybe helping with a hobby, you can ask it a bigger question. Help me, whatever. I'm an artist and I paint this and maybe help me with XYZ. Well, maybe you can ask it to help monetize that side gig in some way. So think strategically about the goal that you're trying to accomplish, not just, help me with this or, review that. Just think about the bigger goal. Same with Agile, right? What is the bigger goal? To help you in your prompting for those of you who are using AI, don't dictate the solution, just tell it the outcome. So for example, I have a restaurant owner come to me and he's like, hey, I need to put out more, ads on social media. And I said, well, you don't really want ads. You want more customers. So if you tell it, hey, I need more customers in my restaurant. I'm a restaurant owner and I would like 5 more customers per day or whatever it is. Tell it the outcome you want and it will be much better because maybe it's going to suggest something that is not social media ads. Maybe, like this restaurant owner, he doesn't have a sign out front that says what his business is because it's washed away. So tell it the outcome you want. It will give you some ideas. Don't dictate too many solutions anymore. This was like the intern phase was to be very, dictating the solution. Now you want it to know the outcome. If you give it a vague request, summarize this meeting notes, you're going to get a vague answer that it's just guessing. So elucidate. Do you want the action items? Do you want the meeting notes to resonate for a senior executive? The more specific you get, then the better the outputs will be. And I have a lot of people say, well, I tried, I prompted it, and then it was just so bad I gave up. Well, guess what? AI is endlessly patient until you run out of credits. It is, you cannot, it won't stop. So if it's not giving you what you want, keep trying. I had a business owner contact me. I said, have you tried the Alex Hormozy method and rewriting your whatever? And then he goes, oh, it sounds like a sleazy car salesperson right now. And I said, well, we'll tell it that. He's like, I need it less like a sleazy car salesperson. I said, well, we'll tell it that. And he said, tell it what? I said, literally type in, less like a sleazy car salesperson. And then he did. And he was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So keep prompting it until you get what you want. But you see, I have stories because I have tried it and I have, I have failed and I have tried others. So again, identify a real pain point or a challenge in your life or a goal, whether it is I want to get more fit in 2026. Whatever it is a personal goal, a work goal. Use AI to help you solve it and then repeat until it gives you what you want. If it's telling you to go jogging and you don't run, then you miss this concept of no high impact activities. Or like I said, just keep chatting with it until it gives you what you want. You will be surprised. And the next thing, if you're not using AI that much, you may not be paying for any tool on your own, but I really encourage you to get a paid subscription depending on your needs. Just pick one, right? Maybe you like Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or Copilot, but whatever it is, the paid outputs are much, much better than the free version. I love it. I was told by someone that my CV needed more jazz hands. Okay, awesome. That's really funny. Love it. Okay. So yeah, AI is only here to solve a problem that you have. It does not exist on its own. It does not exist in a vacuum. It exists because of the data that we feed it, and its data, the data that you give it and the context that you give it is its fuel. Okay. So to sort of tie it up, we're going to have a little activity in a few minutes. Okay. So get your resumes ready. Okay. Get your resumes ready because we need to be adaptable. We need to experiment in ways that we've never experimented before. We need to be good communicators and we are connecting other people. AI is never going to replace your human skills. Someone needs to guide the AI, right? Even if you say an AI can come up with a whole course notes for a course, or for a fifth grade teacher can come up with lesson plans, who's going to tell them the lesson, right? Is that the lesson plan that you can teach? Is that the lesson plan that you want? So AI is not going to replace your human judgment. And this is also from the World Economic Forum. And before I go to the last phase of this, I'm going to point this out. You can look at this chart and say, look at that technological literacy, AI, big data. Oh my gosh, everybody wants those. Or networks and cybersecurity, that's huge too. But guess what? Analytical thinking, resilience, leadership, empathy, active listening, flexibility, service orientation are things that AI cannot replace right now. Okay. So if you have these, employers will always need these. Okay. So your career is a product. You need to keep iterating. Sorry to tell you, I've had to do it, and you're going to have to iterate on yours even more rapidly than I had to iterate on mine. Your relevance today is going to beat your experience. It doesn't matter if you got 30 years of experience in something. It's only what you're bringing to the table today. Nobody wants a legacy knowledge or skill set. They want something up to the moment for today. Are you keeping on the forefront of everything? This is going to be really crucial. And you're not too late. Just start now. So Greg is going to help me here. We're going to actually figure out from your current title what skills can translate into new markets and roles. So I have this mega prompt that Greg is going to help me paste in the chat. And we're going to take your resume, you're going to upload it into your favorite tool, whether it's ChatGPT. If you don't, ChatGPT free version lets you upload stuff. And I think that Claude does too. And Perplexity has limited. So pick your favorite one, upload your resume, copy that prompt, and then you press enter. And let me just, while you're doing that, the most helpful prompt I use is ask the AI not to make up facts. Okay. Yep, yep. Yeah, the other thing is if you ask it up front, so I like Maria, what you said, anchor it in facts up front. So if you ask it to say, research something, and then it tells you something, and then you say, give me the sources, it's more likely to hallucinate than if you say, research this topic, make sure that you provide citations up front, and then it will give you the accurate citations. Okay, so Greg, are you ready? Yep. You should be getting a series of questions back. That is it, the prompt is totally to let you know because your resume is probably pretty limited. So it's going to ask you some crucial questions and then answer those the best you can. even if they're just, cursory, because you can always go back to this later and fine tune it. And in the prompt, it says, it's going to ask you to challenge it if it doesn't perform. And in the prompt, of course, their final job is to ask whether the content was helpful. Folks still working?
I've managed to get some output from it.
Cool. If you like sharing.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So it's given me a lot of core transferable capability clusters, it calls.
Okay.
Very human-centric behavioral influences, systems thinking, facilitation. So I'm guessing all the things it's picking up from my CV there.
Yep.
It's then told me what my value pattern is. My presence tends to produce smoother systems, more empowered people, faster, cleaner delivery, reduced waste, better decision making, and healthier team dynamics. I may need to get some feedback from people I've worked with on that. Then
I
it's
see
given me
Gordon.
it's given me kind of 7 different kind of potential fits, things like risk and decision making enablement roles, collaboration specialists, change and transformation side of things. Then it's given me some tips on how to future-proof my career from here. So positioning myself as systems and people hybrids, build a portfolio of frameworks, strengthen narratives around value flows and expand beyond technology, building optionality. So yeah.
Okay. I had it like I wasn't at there was one output that it gave me where it was like just giving me a bunch of crap actually. And I was like, no, this is not good at all. Like keep thinking you can do better than that. It's like, oh, so sorry. Yeah, I can do. And then it gave me some better. So yeah. Anyone else want to share what they got from it?
Yeah, I have things like AI adoption lead. It says AI governance program manager.
Oh, wow. Very cool. That's a very real thing, actually. Governance, AI governance, program manager. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, or AI adoption and change enablement lead.
Okay. Yep. That's my role, basically.
Yeah. That was number 2. The first one was product operations or product enablement lead.
Okay.
So basically scaling at the product org.
Mhm.
But my interest is really AI, so I'm
Yeah.
as I pivot from the enterprise agile coach,
Yeah.
or more recently I've been a delivery consultant into more of.
Right. I didn't even know people were hiring for that role until I saw it myself. And then when I told my friend, she's like, yeah, no, they are hiring for that. It's like, wow, okay. Just
Yeah, that's cool.
happened to be a thing.
So it's actually called that, like if I were to
AI adoption lead, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I haven't
kinda
searched
cool.
in depth because, the opportunity just kind of, came to me. So, all right.
Oh well, it was meant to be.
I think so, yeah. But, it made, in hindsight, it was like, oh, yeah, of course. These enterprises were looking for help adopting Agile, and now they're looking for help adopting AI.
Adopting AI. Yeah, totally transferable skills there, really, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cool. Anyone else want to share?
Thanks for sharing that prompt.
Sure. And if you don't like what you got, then challenge it. Say, no, like this is, I told you different industries, or no, this is too similar to my current career. Think outside the box. Like really, maybe I want to be an electrician instead, or whatever it is, right? Just yeah. So my message to you really is you must disrupt yourself before you are disrupted. I have had to disrupt myself for the past 30 years. Let me tell you, I've had to leave careers before they were truly over to take advantage of the next wave. So be ready. This is like our future. And I wrote a book on process mapping for AI automation. I used to do a lot of value stream mapping and process mapping. And so I basically had the opportunity to help people understand how to map processes for AI. There's different questions to ask when you're doing process mapping. And when you're thinking about the possibilities for automation. So it's like, it's out on Kindle because I want to get some early feedback before I put it in print. So it's out there. And if you think that designing and mapping processes is something that you would like to understand how to do, if you were doing, say, value stream mapping, is very translatable to this. So yeah, I have my book out there. I released it on Christmas. And yeah, I'll just say I'm going to stop sharing so I can see all your faces.